Hey everybody, here's the history for Monday, May 18th. Today we're going to be talking about Greece. I don't know if anybody in the class is part Greek. I know I am, but I don't know if anybody else. Well, I guess that would make Riley part Greek as well. We're part a lot of things, Riley. But Greece is actually, before I get into the book stuff, Greece is actually the world's oldest democracy, although I think that might be in here as well. The world's first democracy. Remember, democracy is where people vote on things, and this is going to be, we talked about that during ancient Greece, I believe. Greece is the oldest written language still in existence. The Greek language, which is written, there were older ones, but those have kind of died out. Nobody uses them anymore. And even some of the letters, like our A and our B and our T and our P, come right from Greek letters. Those are Greek language. It influenced a lot of the other languages. Also, what did I want to say? An interesting fact. Greece is a very, very popular tourist destination. In fact, during the summer, there are more people in Greece that are tourists than are actual Greek people living in Greece. Not that it's a sparse country or anything, but it's a really amazing country to visit. The climate there is just unbelievably nice. It's actually one of the sunniest countries in the world. I looked up a stat that Greece has more than 250 days of sun on average per year. That's more than 3,000 sunny hours per year. Some of the islands even see as much as 300 sunny days a year. Imagine that. Think of how much snow and rain and cloudy days we have. They have between 250 and 300 days of bright sunshine. That's like, be nice. Be nice. Right now, it's a little cloudy out today. I'd like some sunshine, but we're getting to summer. So let's talk about Greece. Page 236. Actually, before we get to 236, let's go to 224. 224, let's look where it is. And you see it's down in the map. It's in the Mediterranean Sea. It is east of Italy. Now, interestingly, if you notice, it's kind of separated. It's a lot farther east than the rest of the countries of Western Europe. So there's Western Europe and there's Eastern Europe. The reason why we separate Greece into Western Europe instead of Eastern Europe, we consider it part of Western Europe because its culture and government and everything are a lot more like the culture of Western Europe than it is Eastern Europe. The Eastern European countries are very, very heavily influenced by Russia. And part of the reason for that is because of World War II and everything that went on there, where Greece was on the Allied side, although Italy was on the Axis side. But anyway, Greece was on the Allied side, and a lot of the other countries were influenced by Russia in the Cold War afterward. But Greece is very much more culturally Western European than Eastern European. Let's talk about Greece on page 236. Greece, the land of Homer, Aesop, Plato, and Alexander the Great, when we talked about those guys back in the ancient Greece chapter, was the home to the earliest European civilizations, located west, that is, if you're looking at the map, that is this way, located west of Asia Minor. Let me get back to my page. West of Asia Minor, in the southeastern corner of Europe. Modern Greece consists of the southern Balkan islands. Remember, Greece is on the Balkan Peninsula. It consists of the southern Balkan Peninsula and more than 2,000 islands, mostly in the Aegean and Ionian Sea. 2,000 islands. That's a lot of islands. Most of them are just tiny little islands. Over 70% of the mainland of Greece is covered with mountains, but you don't really think of Greece as a mountainous country because it's so beautiful there, but it is a mountainous country. It's mountainous yet beautiful. It's not like Switzerland when we talk about it's mountainous and snowy. Here it's mountainous and beautiful weather. Southern Greece consists of an island-like peninsula that is separated from the mainland by the Gulf of Corinth and the Corinth Canal. Remember, canal is like a little river, but it's dug by humans. Locate Greece on the map. Yeah, we did. History. The first Europeans settled on the islands and the mainland of Greece shortly after the dispersion from Babylon. They were quick to get there, probably because of the nice weather. Dispersion, Tower of Babel. Over the centuries, the ancient Greeks developed an advanced civilization of independent city-states. Remember, they were each individual cities that would govern themselves. The greatest of these, Athens and Sparta, acquired colonies throughout the Mediterranean and waged war against the Persian Empire and against each other. Remember, the Babylonians were the first big empire in that region, and then came the Medo-Persian Empire that defeated the Babylonians under Cyrus. Then, because the Babylonian Empire was Nabopolassar, who was Nebuchadnezzar's dad. He was the one that won, and Nebuchadnezzar took over halfway through. Then the Medo-Persians came over, defeated Babylon under Cyrus the Great. Then the Greeks defeated the Persians under Alexander the Great, and then the Romans defeated. Once Alexander died, his empire split into between four generals, and they fell apart, and the Roman Empire came in. Where was I? Century. The Greek city-states were finally united under Philip II of Macedonia. Yep, Philip II was Alexander the Great's dad. He finally united all these city-states into one big empire. Then his son, Alexander the Great, went on to conquer North Africa and parts of Asia, spreading Greek culture from Egypt to India. There's tons of ancient Greek culture in everything nowadays. Shortly after Alexander's death, his empire crumbled. Remember, I was just mentioning that. And Rome picked up the pieces. The Greek language served as the common tongue of the Roman Empire. Think about that. Greece was such a powerful influence that even the Roman Empire took over where they spoke Latin. The Greek language was spoken everywhere, and served as the common tongue of the Roman Empire. And Greek culture continued to influence the Mediterranean world for centuries. The New Testament was written in the common Greek of the people. That's why the New Testament was written in Greek. After the Roman Empire split between East and West, Greece became a possession of the Byzantines. Byzantium was a city. Byzantium, Constantinople, now it's modern-day Istanbul, who later introduced the religion of Eastern Orthodoxy, later called Greek Orthodoxy. It's kind of like a branch of the Catholic Church. The last empire to dominate the Greeks, the Ottoman Empire, ruled the country until 1830 when Greece won its independence. So the Ottoman Empire was like where modern-day Turkey is nowadays, and they had kind of a big empire there. It was a later empire in into the 1800s and even into the early 1900s. They fought on the Central Power side, the bad side, during World War I, and then after that, the Ottoman Empire was broken up. Modern Greece is a democratic republic with an elected parliament. The majority of the people are native Greeks, 98% actually, interestingly. Like in America, the amount of native people that are from, I don't want to say Native Americans because you think of Indians, but I'm saying people who were born in this country is a very, not very low percentage, but the amount of Americans living in America who are born in America is, I don't know, if I were to guess, actually let me just look it up instead of making a guess. How many Americans, let's see, what percentage of Americans are foreign born? Okay, let's see. 13.6%. Almost 14% of Americans are foreign born, and it's fine either way. But 14% of Americans are born in other countries, as opposed to in Greece, only 2% of their people are born in other countries. So they have a very, very, they have a population. They don't have a lot of people moving into Greece. And so, where am I? Resources and industries. I don't remember where I was, so let's just stop there. Although agriculture still employs approximately 1/4 of the people, so agriculture is one of their big industries, more and more of the Greek population is moving to the cities. So they're still kind of stuck in the agricultural, they're not really a city type of population. They're more stuck in a few decades ago, maybe 100 years ago kind of deal. Nearly 1/3 of the nation's people live in crowded Athens. Actually, I found a statistic that said 40%. Yeah, about 40% of the people, that means 4 out of every 10, live in the capital city. Imagine that. That's like America has 350 million people. That would be like almost 100 million people living in one city. That would be insane. But in Greece, And Greece's population is like 11 million, so that's like, you know, probably 4.5, 5 million people living in one city. They live in Athens. Athens is the capital city. In spite of the rugged, rocky land, Greek farmers managed to grow wheat, garden vegetables, olives, citrus fruits, and nuts. Many of the crops are exported, along with textiles, chemicals, and electronics. Greece has one of the largest commercial fleets in the world and a well-established tourism industry encouraged by its many historic sites. There's a ton of history. If you ever get a chance to go to Greece, I would love to go with you because I've never been either, but that's one of the places I would like to go most in the world because of the history and the beautiful weather. That's actually it for Greece, but why don't I talk about, since I'm only 10 minutes in, I'm going to talk about the Central Europe section, and maybe I'll talk about the mountains as well. Yeah, Central Europe. Did I put a part for the mountains? I don't remember if I did. Well, let's just talk about the Central Europe. The Central European countries of France, you know what? The mountains are in the Central Europe section. That's what it is. The Central European countries, so we were in Mediterranean Europe before, now we're going to talk about Central Europe with like France and Switzerland and stuff. Central European countries of France, Andorra, Monaco, Switzerland. This next one, can you pronounce the next one? How do you think you pronounce the next one? Go ahead and try it. It's Liechtenstein, or Liechtenstein. Austria and Germany are characterized by snow-capped mountain peaks. So when you get into Central Europe, it's a lot of mountains, and lush river basins and dense broadleaf forests. This region holds the most breathtaking scenery in the world. Can you find all these Central European countries on the map? Not right now. Every Central European country except tiny Andorra contains at least a portion of the Alps. The Alps is the largest mountain range in Central. I think it's one of the large. I think it's second largest mountain range in the world. I want to say. I might be wrong about that, but it's Central Europe's most prominent feature. It's the most prominent thing in Central Europe are the Alps mountains. The Pyrenees, a smaller range. We talked about that, if you can remember, although you probably are just reading along. The Pyrenees are what form the border between Spain and France. That is why Spain is often thought of like an island, because the Pyrenees Mountains are they block Spain and France from one another so much that Spain and France's cultures didn't really influence one another. Europe's most important inland waterway, the Rhine River. The Rhine River is it's the most important inland waterway. It feeds Paris, and it's just very important. It flows through Germany and along the border of France and Switzerland. Actually, does it? It's not France. It's not Paris. Let me see. Now that's going to bother me. Where does the Rhine River go? It goes to. Doesn't go to. Oh, it's the Rhone that goes. No, it's a Seine. It's a Seine. So the Rhone goes into central France. The Seine River goes to Paris. The Rhine River goes. I was just thinking, it's right on the border of Germany. The Rhineland. That's what I was thinking. There's a Rhineland dispute between Germany and France. Never mind. That's a World War II thing. So let's keep going. Westerly winds warmed the water of the Atlantic Gulf Stream across much of Central Europe, bringing the regular rainfall and mild temperature associated with the marine West Coast climate. Farther inland, particularly in the higher elevations, the climate is humid and continental with warm, sunny summers and harsh, snowy winters. Let's talk about the mountains. The most famous mountains in Europe are the Alps, which form the largest mountain system in Europe. They are about the same height as North America's Rocky Mountains. So our Rocky Mountains are pretty big, so are the Alps. Mont Blanc in France is the highest mountain in the Alps. My parents actually went there. My dad went there a couple of years ago and he climbed Mont Blanc. It's a huge mountain, highest mountain in the Alps, and it's in France, the French Alps. The Matterhorn, which is on the border of Switzerland and Italy, is a favorite place for daring mountain climbers from all over the world. The Matterhorn is pretty cool. There's a ride about it at Disneyland, I believe. It's one of the most famous climbing mountains in the world. The Alps are Europe's watershed or continental divide. A divide is a stretch of high land that separates river basins. You have a river basin here, river basin here. The place in the middle is called a divide. And you guys know what river basins are. Remember we talked about all the ancient civilizations were settled around river basins where they could grow crops really well and rivers went. Many of Europe's rivers have their source high in the Alps. From the Alps, they flow in different directions. The Rhine River and Rhone River begin at almost the same place, but the Rhine flows north and empties into the North Sea. The North Sea is like near Scandinavia. And the Rhone flows south to the Mediterranean. Other rivers flow from the Alps into the Black Sea and the Adriatic Sea. Smaller mountain chains in Europe are the Pyrenees, which I just talked about, which form the neck of the Iberian Peninsula. The Apennines, if you guys remember, the Apennine Mountains are on the Apennine Peninsula, which is Italy. And the Caucasus Mountains. The Caucasus Mountains, if you look at that little map on the bottom of 238, that forms the border between, the Caucasus Mountains form the border between Southern Europe and Asia. One of the borders between Europe and Asia are the Caucasus Mountains. You have it there, okay, Caucasus Mountains, yep. Mount Elbrus in the Caucasus chain is Europe's highest peak. So Mount Elbrus is the biggest mountain in Europe. Two famous active volcanoes are Mount Vesuvius, which is in the Apennine Peninsula. Mount Vesuvius is what blew out, it just devastated Pompeii. And Mount Etna. In Pompeii, I think they had something like 15 to 20 feet of ash in a 24-hour period. Just devastated the whole city. And Mount Etna in Sicily is another volcano. Sicily, it's actually on an island. Both are in modern Italy. Locate these mountains and mountain chains on the map. All right, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys have some good notes. We'll take over next time with France. We might have to do 2 days for France because there's a lot of information about it. Have a good day.